Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and get ready because today we are counting down the top 25 raunchy comedies of all time. This is the ultimate compilation list from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. If it is one of the best of all time, it is here today and we are going to rank them, so get ready to get weird. We have everything from 60s sci-fi sirens to band camp mishaps, and I cannot wait. Buckle up, pop that tape in, I got you. Let's go do this. All right, party people. Now, if you've been following me, you know that I have done several of these lists from each decade, and I'll link those below. You can travel and go through all of those, but today it is the ultimate all-time countdown of the top 25, and man, we are ready. Party people, let's get to it. We are going into the world of the hilarious, over the top, raunchy, hormonal, and sometimes barely legal and even banned world of the best sex comedies, raunchy comedies, whatever you want to call them. I call them fun. And we're going to get to it with number 25 in 1984's Hot Moves. Now, Hot Moves, it walked so American Pie and other movies like that could run. This is the one that inspired American Pie because you have four guys who have a mission, a pact to lose their virginity. And if that sounds familiar, that's pretty much what you have in American Pie. They are on this specific mission, and this movie is filled with so much 80s sleazy beach vibes. It is absolutely fantastic. It is cheesy. It is pure 80s beach vibes. Goodness. I'm telling you, this movie, if you are a fan of the American Pie series, this is where it all started. The plot is, what plot is there is very similar. It is a lot of fun. It has all of the TNA. It has all of the 80s tropes. It is like an 80s raunchy comedy time capsule of a movie. I love Hot Moves. It comes in at number 25. Now, 24 is straight out of the 70s grindhouse scene. The Cheerleaders is from 1973, and it is about a squad of high school cheerleaders who decide to use their school spirit to distract the opposing team by basically wearing them out with a little too much love and tenderness. That is what we're going to go with. It's got the 70s tropes of the bell bottoms, the bad behavior, a plot that just kind of exists enough to justify one kind of raunchy scene to another steamy scene to a locker room scene. This thing was shot on a low shoestring budget, and it just is bursting with that 70s absurdity and just tons of nudity everywhere that made it a cult drive-in classic that basically invented the sexy cheerleader trope. It laid the groundwork for almost every cheerleader movie that you've seen, all the way from Debbie Does Dallas to Bring It On. It all started with Cheerleaders, the Cheerleaders, in 1973. It comes in on this list at number 24. Now, at number 23 on this list, we stay in the 70s, and before Airplane, before The Naked Gun, there was the Kentucky Fried Movie. It is a movie, comedy, parody, sketch tornado with martial arts spoofs, fake movie trailers, a trailer park version of the news, right down to the Catholic schoolgirls in trouble trailer for an adult film within a movie. You got John Landis behind this thing. It is smart, stupid, satirical and seriously spicy. You don't want to watch it for the story. You're watching it for the laughs because it's somewhat incoherent. But there's going to be times when you're watching this thing where you're going to whisper to people like, can they show that anymore in this day and age? No, they probably can't. But that is a reason that I love it so much. Kentucky Fried Movie, one of my favorite spoofs, raunchy comedies of all time. It checks in on this list at number 23. Now, at number 22 on this list, we jump back to the 80s for a little fast food goodness. I am talking about Hamburger, the motion picture from 1986. And this is a raunchy sex comedy farce set in the fast food training industry, a fast food college. Yeah, that's it. This movie is still somehow stuck on VHS. It never even made the leap to DVD, much less Blu-ray or 4K. It is one of those lost treasures that deserves to be on this list. You have a lot of deep fried debauchery, and when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about there is a part in this movie that wore out many a VHS tape in a certain spot across the land, across time, and it is the let me try to think of how to say this in a safe way. The legendary eating under the table scene. We're going to go with that. That's what we're going to go with. Oftentimes you would get this movie and it would kind of get in bad shape right there. And when you see it, you'll know why. You got people getting punished by being put in a large pickle. There's all kinds of stuff going in here. All kinds of chicanery because you're mixing the college sex comedy with the ridiculous farce of working in what was a real fast food place to start with. It is totally unpolitically correct and unapologetic, and I love it. It makes fun of everyone. It's fair game, and it even has Dick Butkus in this movie. So I got to have it on here. Hamburger, the motion picture, checks in at number 22. Now, at number 21 on this list, we're dipping back to the 1970s again, but just barely. We're going to 1979 for H.O.T.S. That's H.O.T.S, an acronym that means nothing but implies everything. You have a group of young women in a sorority. This is a college exploitation movie. They have to try to outdo their snooty rivals using every sex trick in the book. This is where you cue the Jello wrestling, the spy cams, and enough crop tops to cover a football field where they have a game of basically strip football, because why wouldn't they? Come to think of it, I do think HOTS maybe stands for the initials of the girls in the movie, but it could also stand for hot, outrageous trampoline shenanigans, because you have them too. They're dealing with the crotchety dean and the administration. All of those classic college, what I call college exploitation tropes, they're all here. It's playful, it's pervy, it's exactly what those old VHS late nights were for. HOTS has to be on this list. It comes in at number 21. Now, number 20 takes us back to the 80s and 1983's Risky Business. Tom Cruise sliding in his underwear. Did he have Ray-Bans on? Did he not? Was that a glitch in the Matrix that we all remember? I don't know. We have Porsches, however you want to say it. But Risky Business is not just a raunchy movie. It is an iconic movie. So much so that Criterion put it out as part of the Criterion collection. You have a high school kid in Tom Cruise who turns his parents' house into a brothel for the weekend because, you know, like you do it or I do it, to get out of more trouble because he destroyed the car. He has to get it fixed. He meets the beautiful Rebecca De Mornay, who is a lady of the evening, and she comes with some troubles of her own, but she also teaches him how to live it up, and together they have a fun time. It is slick. It is stylish. It is far smarter than it has any right to be. A way smarter, well-done movie than most people think of when they think of Risky Business. It's the movie that just basically says YOLO at one point. The Tom Cruise standing up, putting the sunglasses on and saying, you know, what the hell? That is this movie. I love Risky Business. It comes in at number 20 all time. Now at number 19, we finally jumped to the 2000s, getting an entry in here. From 2005, we've got Wedding Crashers. This is Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson crashing weddings for love, for laughs, but mostly for the hookups and the all-you-can-eat buffets. This one has tons of raunchiness, especially if you get the uncorked version on here, and it brought raunchy back into the mainstream for a short time in the early 2000s before political correctness ran rampant. But this one does have a lot of heart to it. It's funny. You have a grandma who says things that I can't say on YouTube if I want this video to stay up. It's totally inappropriate. It is a lot of fun. They're crashing these weddings until things get real and real feelings get involved. And it is a lot of fun. And just remember, if you don't like this movie, I'll find you. Wedding Crashers comes in at number 19. Now at number 18, we couldn't stay out of the 80s too long because the 80s is just a gold mine of movies like this because we didn't have to worry about, you know, how things were judged and looked at. People were just having a good time. Maybe they were far less uptight overall. You could tell people were having a good time with the movies, and I have a good time watching 1985's Secret Admirer. This thing has a stacked cast, but it is basically like a game of telephone gone crazy. You have a love letter that is passed to the wrong person, and it turns into a full-blown sex-fueled soap opera. Like I said, it is like a high school game of telephone, only instead of whispering, everyone seems to be like using this letter as a reason to hook up, make out, or whatever with other people. It is super spicy in that regard, but it has a sweet factor to it that takes the raunchy edge off of it just a little bit. Though it's got your TNA, you got beautiful Kelly Preston in here. A lot of people remember her topless scene in this movie. It's got a ton of innuendo under it all that the 80s movies were known for. Secret Admirer, I just really started watching again recently. I grew up with the movie. It is a high recommend. It just sort of checks all of those boxes. There was no question to me when I started evaluating this all-time list that it had to have a spot. It checks in at number 18. Now at 17 on the list, I promise you guys all the way back to the 60s, and that's where we're going to a psychedelic, shagadelic Barbarella from 1968. You've got Jane Fonda in here. Beautiful. She's in space. Zero gravity strip teases going on. Somehow this movie does not have an R rating because holy smokes, it is raunchy. She's going to this whole other world that a new sin is invented constantly. Basically, this is what happens when you kind of mix science fiction and acid drops together and take off your pants. That's what you get with Barbarella. I mean, there's a machine in this movie that will kill you, let's just say, by giving you too much happiness and good feelings. Let's say it like that. It is definitely more psychedelic and funny, but it's so out there, and all of the double entendres, the innuendos, all of it is there right in your face. So it earns a spot on this list just from the iconic and the sheer WTF nature of this movie. Barbarella, a great one. I can't really say anything else about it. It is a trip. It comes in at number 17 all the way from the 1960s. All right, at number 16 on the list, we're in the 80s. I love me some 80s. And we are in 1984, for Bachelor Party. Before The Hangover, you had Bachelor Party starring Tom Hanks in the most chaotic, donkey-filled Bachelor Bash ever put on film. There's tons of nudity, tons of nonsense, and enough questionable decisions to make this movie work. But it is still charming. You got Tom Hanks. He's always been charming as an actor. That comes through in the film. This is kind of like, some old, weird, dusty collection of VHS late night movies mixed together and came to life. That's what you get with Bachelor Party. It is a big time celebration of 80s chaos. That's what it is. So, of course, I love Bachelor Party. It is complete with inflatable dolls and the best use of an elevator in comedy history in Bachelor Party. It had to be on the list. No question. If you were waiting for it, here it is. It comes in at number 16. Now at number 15, we're in high cotton here. We're in the top 15, and we go back to the early 2000s again for one of my favorites of all time. And I mean that. I absolutely love 2004's The Girl Next Door. This is where a high school overachiever literally falls for the girl next door, only to find out she is a former adult film star. And this is a kid that wants to go on to be president. He wants to go to like Georgetown. He is a spotless, straight-laced kid, and she shows him how to live life. And they portray her in a very Marilyn Monroe type way. She just has this ethereal feel about her that's just a fantasy come true. And then he finds out about her past, but they fall in love. It has a sweetness, but definitely a raunch factor, because they are making an adult education film, let's just say, in this movie. It has enough sleaze to land it here. But you also have one of my favorite underrated actors, Timothy Olyphant, playing one of the most charismatic and likable scumbags in the history of cinema. I cannot recommend Girl Next Door enough. I love this film. It comes in at number 15 on this list. Now at number 14 on the list, we go back to my favorite decade again, right smack dab in the middle in 1985 for Private Resort. It's like Spring Break, the movie, with slapstick setups, a hotel resort setting, wardrobe malfunctions, all that kind of stuff. The plot is pretty thin here, but that's not the point. This is that 80s resort vibe. You get a young Johnny Depp, you get Rob Morrow. They go to this beautiful resort for the weekend, and hijinks ensues. They're trying to score, they're trying to hook up. That is the common theme of every movie on here. And they find their love interests, but they get caught in all kinds of things. Hell, they get caught in a diamond robbery plan, all kinds of stuff. You've got Leslie Easterbrook in here from the Police Academy movies, and she is not under much in a lot of this film, and she's absolutely gorgeous. You've got young Johnny Depp getting under the covers with her in a hilarious setup. It's like a comedy of errors in this film, with these two guys just trying to score. Private Resort is so much fun because it brings in a lot of those 80s resort beach vibes that happen in a lot of films. And then you get recognizable faces. Hell, you even get Andrew Dice Clay making an appearance in this film. It is so much fun. It had to be on this list. Private Resort checks in at number 14. Now at number 13, we are staying in the 80s, in 1984 to be exact, for Hot Dog, the movie. We already had Hamburger. We might as well have Hot Dogs. As a matter of fact, I would love to have the 4K rights to both of these and release a combo pack of Hamburger, the motion picture, and Hot Dog, the movie, because they are both fun. And to me, they are both in the top 25 raunchy comedies of all time. This one is, you just imagine if a ski movie where everyone's clothes fell off. That's Hot Dog, the movie. There are real ski competitions. You get a lot of cool ski action in here. You got David Naughton in this film of American Werewolf in London fame. You have the future Mrs. Gene Simmons in this movie. You have a young up-and-coming skier who's traveling to a ski competition. He picks up a beautiful hitchhiker. They fall in love. There's all kinds of parties, shenanigans, other women, interactions with the other ski guys there. There's so much competition, so much fun, so much nudity, so much sex, so much skiing. Hot Dog the movie is an absolute blast. I had forgotten how good it was. It is a high recommend. It comes in at number 13. I told you that the 80s were a treasure trove of these movies, and 1984 and 85 had a lot, but 1984 has one of the most iconic ones ever with Hardbodies. Hardbodies is about three middle-aged men who rent a beach house and hire a young buck, a young stud surfer, beach dude to teach them and help them pick up and score with girls. It's trashy. It is 80s all the way. You have a young Courtney Gaines in this movie as well. All the 80s beach comedy, sex comedy tropes are there. You have all the 80s bikinis and roller skating and surfing and trying to hook up. It is another one of those 80s time capsules that I just love cracking back into because I'm an 80s kid and I love it so much. It has a lot of fun, a fun soundtrack to this one, and kind of an interesting, different setup because it brings in the middle-aged guys into this, so it's not just the teenage and college guys. So you kind of have the clashing of the cultures just a little bit, and that makes it fun and adds a little bit of something different to this one. But Hardbodies is an absolute classic. It had to be here. It comes in at number 12. At number 11, we stay in the 80s, but just barely because it's 1981 and one of my favorites of all time, Stripes. Now, Stripes has Bill Murray starring in this one, obviously, but you also forget, or a lot of people I realize when I talk about this movie forget that Harold Ramis, the future Egon Spengler, is in there. John Candy is in there. John Larroquette is in there. This thing is absolutely loaded. You have PJ Soles in this movie. A lot of big names and big time actors that you recognize are in this movie. And it is a lot of fun because you basically have Bill Murray and Harold Ramis who join the army because they are down on their luck. And they think it's going to be a fun, easy way to get food and get in shape and all this stuff. And they immediately turn the army into the biggest frat house ever. You've got drill sergeants spying on women in the showers. You got these guys doing everything they can to hook up with every woman that they can, including two beautiful military police. All of that happens in this movie. It has a surprising amount of nudity in a movie like this because it's part war movie, part college frat house movie in here. And it is a load of fun. You even have John Candy in one of the most memorable mud wrestling scenes ever with a bunch of beautiful ladies. If you want it, Stripes has it. And it is so much fun. It comes in at number 11. Now we are into our top 10 and we are at the best of the best here. And one that might surprise you from the early 90s that I think is a fantastic raunchy comedy with a lot of heart is 1992's Miracle Beach. This is the movie that asks, what if you found a genie who looked like a bikini model who could grant you wishes with suggestive winks? That's what Miracle Beach is. It's magic. It's mischief. It's all set in Malibu, so you have those beach vibes. Still has a little 80s flavor because it was filmed in 91 and the 80s sort of bled over into the 90s just a little bit. But it has all of that. It has a lot of heart and a good nature to it underneath. But they are not shy about the raunchy sex comedy factor and the nudity being thrown in there on top of it. You even have Pat Morita, Mr. Miyagi, making an appearance in this film. I really think this one is super underrated. As a matter of fact, it was very high, might have been number one on one of my lists from the 1990s, so make sure you go check those out. But Miracle Beach, for me, there was no question. It should be this high. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It comes in at number 10 all time. All right, coming in at number 9 on this list is another one that just ekes into the 80s with 1980s Caddyshack. I'm all right. Nobody worry about me. The Gopher, Kenny Loggins soundtrack, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, Rodney Dangerfield. You got Judge Smails. This movie, Gophers, golf balls. I mean, it is so much fun. Raunchy comedy that slipped past the country club elite in here. You have the swimming pool scene. If you know, you know, with Bill Murray. This movie is infinitely quotable. You got Harold Ramis again on the other side in this movie. It has just the right amount of unhinged. Chevy Chase is amazing in this movie, and there's like one long scene with him and Bill Murray together that is just absolutely ridiculous. And of course, you have Bill Murray, whose life's mission is to stop the Gopher. There's so much going on in this movie. It is an absolute classic. Got a little more TNA and definitely a little bit dirtier minded than maybe you remember or that you're used to when you watch the television cut. But it is all there, trust me. So Caddyshack comes in at number 9 all time. Now at number 8 all time is another one of my favorites. This is from the early 2000s, almost to the 2010s. This was sort of like that last gasp before everything got a little too political correct for movies like this. I'm talking 2008's Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I love this movie. You have Jason Segel in here. You have Kristen Bell in this movie. Mila Kunis is in this film. You've got Paul Rudd. You've got a who's who. It goes even deeper than that with the comedic cast in here. And it is a lot of fun. It even goes hardcore on a lot harder core on the nudity than you would think. Even the male nudity. You've got Jason Segel famously doing the full frontal in here. So you have full frontal, like male nudity. You've got female nudity. You have a lot of sex scenes as he attempts to get over the breakup with Kristen Bell's Sarah Marshall. And he's trying to drown his sorrows with other women. You have all of that going on. You have very suggestive song lyrics in here from Russell Brand's character that are hilarious. Lots of innuendo. And you even have Dracula puppet musicals. You have it all rolled up and set in Hawaii for the bulk of the film at a beautiful resort. I'm not really sure what more you can ask. I think this film is severely underrated. I don't think people talk about it enough. It is so much fun. And despite all those things I said, it still has a great heart underneath it. So that makes it infinitely rewatchable for all kinds of people. And for that reason, Forgetting Sarah Marshall checks in at number 8 all time on this list. All right, you knew we couldn't stay out of the 80s long. We are headed back to 1985 for number 7's Weird Science. Now, this is my favorite John Hughes movie of all time. You have Michael Anthony Hall. He's one of 2 computer nerds who decide to create the perfect woman. It's awkward. It's completely absurd, bra on the head, nuts, but it is totally 80s and it is fantastic. Kelly LeBrock in here is Lisa. What would you little maniacs like to do first? They can't even bring themselves to shower with her properly. Bonus points in this because you have a young Robert Downey Jr. in here playing a bully. But again, this one has heart to it. It doesn't have quite as much TNA as a lot of other movies on this list, but the whole thing is about getting with women and coming of age and having sex and losing your virginity and learning what it is to be a man and all these kind of things. It's all in this movie. Partying, craziness. We're not talking candle wax, nipples or anything, or witchcraft or anything like that. But we are talking about a movie with a bunch of teenagers in their underwear acting like complete animals, to quote Lisa. This is John Hughes' fantasy flick wrapped up in 80s neon, and I could not love this movie more. Weird Science comes in at number 7. Now, number 6 on the list, we are staying in the 80s in 1985 for one of the movies that I think is one of the most underrated and maybe one of the most underseen on this list. I'm talking about Mischief. Now, this stars Kelly Preston in this movie, and she is beautiful. She's set up very much like a Marilyn Monroe character. She does full nudity in this movie, like the most she ever does in any movie, I believe, is in this one. And you basically have a shy kid in the 1950s. So this thing is an 80s movie that takes place in the 50s. So two of the most iconic decades in American history. You have a shy kid who's learning the ropes and learning how to lose his virginity from his newly moved in rebel kid neighbor greaser Eugene. You got hot rods, you've got motorcycles, you've got kids playing chicken, Rebel Without a Cause style. You add some classic rock to that, some peeping through windows, all of that kind of stuff. It's charming. It has the right amount of, perviness to it, but it is another one that is surprisingly sweet underneath. Kind of makes you stand up and say, hell yes, at the end of this movie because of where it starts and where it ends. But on the way there, it is got plenty of hormones to go with that heart and just enough vintage Americana to make this thing feel like a steamy version of a Norman Rockwell painting. 80s meet 50s in a raunchy comedy. Yes, please. One of my favorites of all time. Mischief comes in at number 6. And now we are to the top 5, and these are 5 legends right here. Coming in at number 5 is 1978's Animal House. This one could be said to be the blueprint for all college exploitation, college party, raunchy comedy type movies. Toga parties, food fights, John Belushi, smashing his face, smashing a guitar. It's anarchic. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. And the people you have in this, you have a young Kevin Bacon in here. You got Donald Sutherland is in this movie. All kinds of people you're going to recognize. Tim Matheson. Just a cast that's crazy, outrageous, over the top. This one probably ended up getting a bunch of universities sued because people doing things that were in this movie. But Animal House is another one of those that walked. So a lot of the comedies that came after it, especially in the 80s, could just run free. This one is an absolute classic. No question it deserves its spot here. It comes in at number 5. Now, at number 4 is one that came just about 4 years or so after Animal House, but it is every bit the icon. I am talking about Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This one gave us Spicoli, Phoebe Cates in one of the most iconic, imagination scenes ever in movie history. That pool scene, absolutely incredible. Stuff of legend right there. You have Jennifer Jason Leigh doing things and portraying things in a way that you would never get done today in a movie. You have Amy Heckerling behind the camera in this, but you have Cameron Crowe who wrote this, so you get a lot of that depth from something that Cameron Crowe would write. And Amy Heckerling is unabashedly naughty and dirty-minded, and she had no trouble putting that in the movie, and I love her for it. It's raw, it's real, it's coming of age, it's trying to deal with sexual identity and and having sexual relationships and maturing and that cusp from when you go from being a teenager to an adult. All of those things, it handles it in a real, raw, and funny and naughty way. Fast Times at Ridgemont High is an absolute legend. No question it was going to rank high on this list. It comes in at number 4. Now, at number 3, I'm going to throw you somewhat of a curveball because this is almost a whole franchise, but parts 1 and part 2, I kind of put together. But for this list, believe it or not, I think part 2 overshadows the iconic nature of number 1. So it earns the spot here. I'm talking 2001's American Pie Part 2. Now, part 1 could easily be on this list, but if I'm picking one to represent it, maybe I could put them both here as a tie. But I actually think this is the superior movie, and it kind of turns up the raunch factor just a little bit over the other one. It has a little more nudity. It has a little more goofy coming of age sexual situations in it that turn hilarious, like gluing yourself to yourself. The whole scene where the crew is painting these two beautiful women's house, they get caught snooping around. One thing leads to another, and it leads to one of the most raunchy and ridiculously fun scenes in movie history. I feel like it does well to pull in the beach vibes too, even though it's like a lake beach. They're on Lake Michigan. So it kind of has that pull back to it, to the old 80s raunchy comedies in that way. But I feel like if the raunchy comedies of the late 90s, early 2000s were a soundtrack, this movie would be most of that soundtrack. I just think it captures it all beautifully. I love part 1. It earns a spot too, but for here, this high, I'm actually going to put American Pie 2 at number 3 all time. And that just leaves the top 2, and I'm going to tell you right now, both of these are legend. You can't argue with either one of these being number 1, but I got to rank them somehow. So I'm going to pick the one that I watch the most, that I think is the most quotable, all that kind of stuff. But at number 2, just barely, could call it 1A if you would like, is 1981's Porky's. Wow, this is the original sort of the boys will be crazy ass boys movie. Porky's is absolutely crude. It is controversial, especially today, but it is completely legendary, 100%. This movie has been banned, it's been boycotted, it's been bootlegged again and again, and yet it is still one of the most iconic, raunchy teen comedies ever committed to celluloid. It is that well known. It is that good of a movie. You have high schoolers in 1950s Florida, Angel Beach, which again, 1980s, going back to the 1950s, just like Mischief did, just like Back to the Future did, iconic decades. They're on a quest to lose their virginity. That was a pretty common theme. They got to deal with Porky, who runs a bar and a brothel. And of course, the legendary shower scene where they're peeping in and sticking things in and all that kind of stuff. That alone, the sight gags in here that push boundaries, earn this movie its place. Some could argue it's number 1. I would be hard to fight you on that. But for me, Porky's comes in at number 2. And that just leaves 1. And for me, I knew 1 right away. Right away. Even though I love these other movies, you can make a case for them. I'm going back to 1984 for Revenge of the Nerds. I love this movie. At number 1, the number 1 underdog story of all time. It seems fitting. Revenge of the Nerds. Nerds! This movie I watched so much growing up that it is absolutely ridiculous. It is the nerds versus the jocks. Oddly enough, it made seeming to be a nerd a cool thing, being comfortable with who you are a cool thing. Even though maybe I was on the other side as a jock, I don't care. I love this movie. It has a lot of stuff in it that probably would not fly today, that people want to consider problematic because they hold things that happen today. You know, they hold old movies to today's standards. You can't do that. You just have to go back and have fun with it. Holy smokes, is the TNA and the raunch factor turned up to 11 in this movie as the nerds take on the alpha betas for supremacy of Adams College. It is controversial, maybe you couldn't do some of it today, but hey, it is iconic, and it is my pie right here at number 1. Revenge of the Nerds, an all-time classic, and I absolutely love it. And that is what I've got for you. That is my top 25 raunchy comedies of all time, the ultimate compilation list. I have these broken down. I have multiple lists from each decade, so make sure you check those out. If you didn't see some of your favorites, let me know some of your favorites. Let me know if I missed something here. I wouldn't have missed it, but maybe in your opinion, I should have added it. But I love doing this. I love recommending movies to you, and I hope you enjoyed this. I've got much more to come, all kinds of lists, action movies, horror movies, parody movies, exploitation films. It's all here because I love it. If this is your first time here, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps out the channel. I'm a working filmmaker. I love talking movies with you. And if that's something you'd like to support, you can join at my YouTube channel link below, or I'd push you to Patreon, where I can do all the videos like this over there in an uncensored version. That's extra fun. But no matter what, you're going to get your name and lights on every one of these videos and so much more. And y'all, I really do appreciate it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.
I know.